So probably the most visual way to understand a function is just by a graph itself. Now, on the side here in this table, you have some examples to your left and some non-examples to your right. You'll notice that all the non-examples kind of go back on themselves, or they overlap themselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I were to take, let's say, let's get a red line here. Okay, so vertical line. Okay, if I were to take this line and drag it onto, let's say, the circle here, you'll notice that it intersects the circle at 2 points. Okay, so for example, at the value of -2, okay, I'm intersecting the circle over here and over here. Whereas if I were to take that same vertical line and bring it over to my example of a function, there's no point along that straight line where I'm overlapping, going over the straight line twice. Let's move down, okay? Let's take this, again, the same line. I'm gonna zoom in here. This same line, and this is like a part of a conic section. If I go over it, now over here there's nothing, there's no function, okay? It's not defined at all. But if I go over here, I'll notice that again, I'm going to intersect the graph at 2 points, one over here and one over here. And by the way, not just on that side, but if I brought this over as well over here, I'll also intersect it. And you can see that it's the same thing over here, this kind of sideways parabola, same thing, I'm intersecting it at 2 points, whereas all of these guys, and I'll do the two of them at the same time, as I drag my red line over it, I'm only intersecting the graph once. So this is what is known as a visual test, and we call it the vertical line test. Okay, so we call this the vertical line test. T, let me write that out. Vertical line test. And the vertical line test it's a visual test, okay? You don't have to, crunch any numbers. Just basically look at the graph that you have in front of you and ask yourself, well, does a vertical line touch it at least twice? So this is not a function. This is a function because nowhere along the graph does it overlap itself. This up here, yes, it is a function. This down here, this kind of bow tie is not a function because it, over here actually is quite interesting. If I were to zoom in, you'll look, even if you look closely, you have 1, 2, 3 points of intersection. And it could even go back on itself again and again. It could have even more points of intersection. But if it has 2 right away, that eliminates it from the potential of being a function.